Hello and welcome to News Review. The government has announced that it's given the go-ahead for a new retail bank for Gibraltar. At a news conference, Chief Minister Fabian Picardo said the cabinet approved the establishment of the Gibraltar International Bank, GIB, on Monday. The aim is for it to be fully operational by the third quarter of 2014. Although the location was not revealed, the Chief Minister told GBC the bank would be situated in Main Street.
Fabian Picardo pointed out that the creation of a local bank was a long-standing objective of the GSLP, which first included it in its 1996 election manifesto. He said the announcement by Barclays of its intention to reduce its services locally had given this a greater urgency, in order that the banking needs of the community could be fully catered for. He thanked Barclays for agreeing to delay the issuing of notices of account closures to clients in order to give them the opportunity to take advantage of the banking facilities offered by GIB. And he paid tribute to Financial Services Minister Albert Isola for his role in making the project possible. Mr. Picardo said he was excited that GIB will be a modern, innovative institution designed to meet the needs of our community.
Well, as people will know, having a Gibraltar National Bank has been an issue going back to the times of the first GSLP administration. We carried that in our 1996 manifesto. We weren't elected then. The GSD has then spoken after that about the possibilities for them establishing a national bank as well. We have finally taken the step. The Cabinet has met this morning, and as a result of a Cabinet decision, we've endorsed the work being done by Albert Isola, who is the Minister for Financial Services, and given the go-ahead for the filing of an application for a Gibraltar International Bank, GIB, to be made as soon as possible before the end of this week, and that will be a new Gibraltar retail bank as well on our high street.
Offering the full range of services you would expect a retail bank to offer?
Offering the full range of services you would expect a retail bank to offer, and also offering services to the financial services community in the shape of becoming a depository for the Alternative Investment Finance Managers Directive, an issue that is important in the financial services industry and that none of the current banks in Gibraltar offer.
And how will this new bank dovetail with the Gibraltar Savings Bank?
Well, the Gibraltar Savings Bank will continue to do what it does now. It will continue to expand its services to its clients. It will continue to provide services to the government for the payment of government amounts that have to be paid. All of that expansion continues. It will also be working with the new bank on what are called service level agreements to do some of the things that the new bank will need done, and the new bank will do some things for the Gibraltar Savings Bank. This is the best way to make sure that we act in the most cost-effective manner possible going forward, but with each bank paying the other for the services that the other is doing.
Of course, recently Barclays in Gibraltar announced that it was carrying out a review, and the result of that is that many of its employees are going to find themselves out of a job. Will there be opportunities for them in this new bank?
Well, look, to a great extent, the answer is that the vacancies that arise in the new bank have to go to the open market, and anybody, whether they're working in another bank or in any other industry, will be able to apply for these jobs. Now, the fact is that a lot of the work that this new bank is likely to be doing is picking up the work that Barclays is presently doing with a lot of Barclays clients. So the people who handle those relationships at the moment are the current Barclays staff. They are probably in pole position when they make the application in terms of having the qualifications, the suitability and the experience, and of course the knowledge of the client base. But these vacancies will be open to the general public. We cannot give any guarantee to the current employees of Barclays. They're not going to go on a transfer of undertaking, so to speak, because the government is not buying Barclays' business, but they are likely to be in pole position for these jobs.
What about management of the bank? Do you expect that to be recruited locally, or will you also recruit abroad?
Let's be very clear about this. The management of the bank is going to be completely independent of the government, at arm's length, completely independent from the government. And I think that there is a huge pool of talent in Gibraltar, both homegrown talent, Gibraltarians who have made it to the tops of existing banks or the top of the finance and industry generally, whether it's accounting or the law, and they're able to do these jobs without us having to recruit internationally. Of course, we also have some fantastic international people who've come to Gibraltar, who've made Gibraltar their home, and who are equally well qualified. And I think there you have the mix necessary for the government to have the recruiting ground it needs without needing to go outside Gibraltar today to recruit an excellent managing board for this new bank.
The opposition has given a qualified welcome to the government's announcement. It notes that the promotion of a locally owned bank was a manifesto commitment of the GSD in 2011, but did not feature in the GSOP Liberals manifesto.
GSD regrets that the announcement of the new bank was made after the deadline for submitting questions for Parliament had passed. Otherwise, it would have been able to raise the matter at tomorrow's meeting. Some of the questions it would like answered are how the bank will be capitalized, whether the funding will be provided by Credit Finance Company Limited, the Savings Bank or any other government entity, and what will be the precise nature of the relationship of the bank with the government and the Savings Bank. The opposition reminds the public that for a long time it's been asking about the regulation of the expanded services the Savings Bank will provide, and that the government said no further regulation was required. The GSD said it was not satisfied with this reply. It adds that in this context, and pending further clarification, it very cautiously welcomes what it terms the government's apparent change of heart and its decision to go down a similar route to that proposed by the GSD some time ago. The opposition says it will be considering the details of the bank announcement and expects to make a further statement in due course.
Meanwhile, the Federation of Small Businesses welcomed the news. It congratulated the government on the initiative and applauds the fact that the bank's management will be independent from the government. The GFSB feels it was extremely important that an alternative to Barclays Bank was found, as ease of access to proper banking facilities is fundamental not only to existing businesses but also for startups. The Federation said it looked forward to discussing with the government the range of services which would be available to businesses as well as the time frame for implementation. For its part, the Chamber of Commerce said the government's announcement says much about Gibraltar's confidence in our own commercial future, adding the Chamber fully shares it. It says that for years it's been highlighting the need for extra banking facilities and the importance of having a modern and competitive banking market. It's also emphasized that the bank's independence is crucial. Meeting these criteria, the Chamber believes this initiative will boost the current banking offering and has the advantage of being homegrown so that it can be molded to suit Gibraltar's business and individual customers' needs. It adds that setting up the new financial institution will be a complex and time-consuming process with many details yet to be finalized, not least the operating relationship between the new bank and the Savings Bank, and that therefore it is crucial to get it right. The Chamber feels the bank's risk analysis and disclosure requirements should be robust and lending terms should be commercial but reasonable. A cross-border collective of unions and business organizations has met to discuss how the situation at the frontier can be improved, with the normalization of cross-border flow its first priority. The group is calling for the permanent assignment of a European Union observer to the border so as to guarantee the right to freedom of movement to all EU citizens.
The recently formed cross-border group had its second meeting at the Comisiones Obreras office in La Línea, with representatives of the Unión General de Trabajadores and the Small and Medium Business Association of La Línea also in attendance. Gibraltarian unions Unite, the Teachers Association and the GGCA took part, as well as the Chamber of Commerce and the Federation of Small Businesses.
Lo novedoso, lo importante y creo que lo histórico también es que por primera vez se crea un grupo que es un grupo transfronterizo entre empresarios y trabajadores y sindicatos, en este caso representantes de los trabajadores, a un lado y a otro lado pues de lo que es la llamada verja, con un objetivo común que es mejorar las condiciones económicas y de empleo de los ciudadanos, tanto de Gibraltar como del campo de Gibraltar. Y esas reivindicaciones son las que nosotros vamos a trasladar, creemos que al foro que hay que trasladarlo de la Unión Europea, porque se están produciendo circunstancias que afectan a los ciudadanos, que afectan al empleo, que afectan a la economía de la zona, por cuestiones que son ajenas a los ciudadanos y por decisiones que se toman desde el ámbito de la política.
One of the first things that we did is, establish, some ground rules. Obviously this is not a forum whereby, we've all got together to discuss the politics of the situation. That's very clearly, was shelved. We're here to try and find a resolution to the problem which we're all experiencing. So basically, we're trying to tackle the common enemy, whereas perhaps in different moments in time, we would have expressed different opinion on different matters. We're very focused on what the mission statement of this group is, and that's what we're sticking to.
The group is calling for immediate action by the European Commission and Parliament to force the governments involved to implement the measures necessary for a smoothly flowing frontier.
We're still, in the early stages of having just had a few meetings, but one thing that we have identified is that we want to direct our attention straight to the EU. Now, I know we had an EU representative come and do a recent inspection, and they came out with findings. Now, obviously, we are, I would say, opposed to the findings, and particularly the timetable that they've set out, because we don't feel that this gives the resolution to the problem that has been experienced. So we'll be directing our attentions at an EU level and proposing a resolution to the situation and putting proposals to them on the table.
Creemos que la situación que está viviendo la frontera de Gibraltar es anómala con las directivas de la Unión Europea en cuanto a la movilidad de ciudadanos, en cuanto a la movilidad de trabajadores. No se ajusta esa frontera con el paso de personas que se produce en esta frontera. Creemos que con una salida no es suficiente, creemos que la frontera tiene que ser fluida, y eso mismo dice la Unión Europea. Si se está haciendo de forma intencionada o realmente es por falta de medios, nosotros vamos a exigir a la Unión Europea que se pongan los medios necesarios para que las personas que pasan por la frontera no tengan que sufrir 2 y 3 horas, a veces más, no solamente en un coche, sino de pie, al aire libre, a la intemperie, con niños. Nos parece una situación que no se puede consentir dentro del marco de la Unión Europea.
In its first statement, the group says its long-term objective is to defend the common interests of citizens on both sides of the border, with the belief that dialogue and cooperation are vital for the social and economic development of all.
And no date has been set for a second visit by the European Commission to the frontier, although the British and Gibraltar governments have offered the possibility of another visit. The answer was given in the House of Lords in reply to a question by former Governor Lord Luce, who asked whether the European Commission was being provided with evidence on a daily basis prior to its next visit on the 25th of March next year.
In her reply, Baroness Wolsey said the UK, in partnership with the Gibraltar government, is continuing to gather data on the daily delays at the frontier in order to demonstrate their illegitimate, disproportionate and unlawful nature and the impact they're having on EU citizens. She added that this information has been and will continue to be provided to the European Commission, which has committed to remain engaged and to follow up in 6 months' time. The Conservative peer stated that information had been provided to the Commission before, during and after the technical visit, with the period covered by the evidence starting on the 4th of July, some 3 weeks before the delays intensified. She told the House the British government remains confident that Spain is acting unlawfully and will continue to provide evidence of this. Baroness Wolsey added that the Commission had found the intensity of the random checks performed by the Spanish customs to be unlawful following complaints from EU citizens. Recommendations to both the UK and Spain were made on the 15th of November. She said the Gibraltar government had confirmed it had started work to amend the Tobacco Act, designed to implement Commission recommendations where appropriate. The UK, for its part, she said, is pressing the Spanish authorities to implement the recommendations made to them, which include increasing the number of vehicles